Hey guys, welcome to Media Motor Europe, and I hope you will enjoy the collaboration between both the consortium partners, the coaches and all the good startups. We were also a startup some years ago, and I would love to share the story with you guys. I'm sitting up here in north of Norway, having my first holiday forever, so sorry for this lazy way to do it. First of all, I'll give you a quick introduction to our company. Myreze is a proud member of Media City Bergen and started up in 2014. By now, we have become one of the industry leaders within virtual productions and have clients all over the world, such as Fox Sports, the Weather Channel, the State Channel of China, and the largest news channel in the Middle East, Al Arabiya, and so on. At the current state, we have 15 employees and one dog. So how did a little company from Bergen become one of the industry leaders? Normally I would just tell the story about the company itself, but I just feel that I need to dig a bit deeper and tell the whole story so you get into it. I have to take you back in time to the gold decade of 1980s when the biggest geek in Bergen was born. It all started quite early when my dad gave me a computer and a lot of computer parts, camera equipment to play with instead of Lego, and normal kids' toys. Spending a lot of years in front of the computer where I, in the early days, learned how to draw, paint, photoshopping, and that kind of geeking. One day my dad came home with a magical device that made us able to connect computers to the local cable network, and suddenly we were able to broadcast a TV channel and reach 1,000 people in our neighborhood. In addition, we managed to push the biggest channel in Norway, the Norwegian state channel NRK, out and replace it with our channel. And it became highly popular, I will say. This was totally mind-blowing for a 12 years old me, and I realized that this is it. This is what I want to do for the rest of my life. But I had one big challenge. I did not know anyone that did graphics and computers. I did not know any single thing about the industry. So after some years of playing around with design, animation, and web design, I started Norway's first creative forum. I'll say it was simply a simple version of Facebook many years before social media was invented. Suddenly we had a national and international community for creative people, and among our users we had a lot of people from the Norwegian TV industry, a lot of like the coolest designers and whatnot. Now I had turned 16 and already built a quite big network. While everyone in the community had all their information as name, work, location, I decided to hide myself behind a nickname. I was afraid that this community would not be taken seriously if they knew that the guy behind it was only 16 and with no experience within the field. And that worked extremely well. Suddenly I had my first company doing web design and branding for TV2 Norway with the most famous television personality at that time, H.C. Anderson. And so far, I do not say a lot about my education or schooling, and that's a reason for that, because I was horrible at it. I found my passion so early that school was something I really could not understand the need of. At high school, I just had too much work going on and stayed up all night. So I was not the teacher's best friend, to say it mildly, as I slept through most of the days just dreaming about getting out of there and continuing working and doing cool design. My teacher at that time was so tired of me that he even said that I will never be able to achieve anything in life with my lack of interest in school. So while the other kids took the school bus home, I took the taxi to the airport to travel to Oslo for new exciting projects. So yeah, a few years later I actually have front page in Norwegian News about the geek that made it. One day TV2 Norway contacted me for a job position. I got the job as a post producer and producer in TV2 by age 17, and I was in heaven. But a few days later TV2 called me and they said that they had discovered that I was too young to start working there, so they had to come back when I turned 18 and finalize my mandatory time in the Norwegian army. Lucky by then I've learned so much about networking So I managed to convince the guys in the army to let me start a design and photo department in the army. So for 6 months I had fun time doing a lot of exciting photo projects and design projects for them until I got help from TV2 to send them a letter and get me out of there. So yeah, I wanted to start my journey. There is so much more to this story, but since this is probably yet another webinar, you don't want to sit and look at this story too long. So I'm going to try to wrap it up. I had some great years in TV2 where I learned crazy much, being able to work with people that are 1,000 times more experienced than you. It's just a gold mine and a rocket launch of learndom and wisdom. I said yes to any project, even though it was totally impossible to do with my skill set at that time. So even though I couldn't do the software or whatever, I said yes, let's do it. And suddenly a new journey started when I was about 20 years old, where a bunch of friends in TV2 started a company called 60 here in Bergen. We traveled the world and I gained a lot of experience and connections. They also let me start a new department in Oslo, which gave me the experience of building teams. I moved to Los Angeles and Dubai for a few years. I lived together with, at that time, the biggest video music director in the world. And we lived at, the most fancy place in Hollywood Hills with a 360 view over Los Angeles and 20 by 20 meter infinity pool. We had parties where the most famous people on the planet were hanging out, and life was perfect. But all sunshine stories tend to have a bad ending. By age 29, I have worked 24/7 for too many years, been living in too many luxurious hotels and wasting too much money. I had to move back to Bergen with a broken relationship and an empty pocket. I felt like the biggest loser that I had to move back to where it all started, at my parents' place. While my friends had started families and built fancy homes and so on, I was pretty much lost. It took me months to just get back on my feet, and to at the same time I met my new girlfriend, she's actually my fiance right now, that forced me to travel to north of Norway for 2 months without any technology and any work. We traveled around in an old tiny camping car and went to the most amazing places without any connections or whatever. And when I came back to Bergen after this amazing, inspiring trip, a good friend of mine forced me to start a new company, even though I had given up my dream and had no belief in a future company. We started Myreze in a tiny little storage room with room for 3 people. We had no money, no projects, and no investors. But with the use of my credit cards, lots of passion and hard work, suddenly our company had a great brand, a great looking website, and we looked way bigger than we were at that time. After a few months, we were 12 people and already won a lot of awards and worked for TV2, Al Arabiya, and so on. And rest is history. The reason I wanted to tell this story is just about doing the impossible. A lot of people say it's so hard to start a company. There's tons of reasons why they don't do it. If you don't know the software, learn it. If you don't know the industry, study it. If you don't have any connection, just go out there and learn from those who are better than you. If you don't have investors, you will always find a way. Don't listen to those who tell you it's impossible, because if you really want to do it, you can fucking do it. Thank you guys. Have a great seminar, and please check out myreze.com and add us on YouTube and Instagram. Here's the logo, and I'm full of this dog thing. Enjoy the show. Thank you.